Hey everybody, Steve Benford back here for part 2 of how I put together a body blank. So what we have here is, if you remember from the last video, we laminated up all our wood and she was a big square. I needed to cut it out and make it look like a guitar, or at least the shape of one. So I went ahead and did that. Glue or double stick tape my template on. Bandsaw it around, rough cut, got it as really close as I possibly could. And then what I did, I kind of showed you guys the router bit I'll use last time. And I actually approached this a little bit differently than I normally do. Since I was trying to route the full thickness of the body, I didn't want to try to do it all in one pass with a router bit. It's just too taxing on the bit. You could burn the wood. It's just, and it's a little dangerous too. You can chip out the wood. It just gets a little hairy. So I opted to do it a little bit differently. I actually went a little bit old school in the way I used to do it and used a handheld router with a bearing on the bottom. And here that guy is right here. So this part rides along the template with the bit facing down, and it'll cut out, I don't know, yay much of it. And then once I have that, I can go back over to the router table and use a bit that was just like the one I showed you guys yesterday. And so then what happens here is, even though this bit could have done the entire thickness, like I said, I didn't want to do that. So I could actually lower it down some and only cut out what I needed. I just left it where it is, and it rode along the template, but it only cut out maybe half the body. So it left me with a really nice, clean, burn-free cut here, as you can see. So here is the great reveal of the body and what it looks like. But cool, starting to look like something as opposed to an outline on a block of wood. Everything turned out really, really nice. I got my neck joint a little bit oversized here. The template that I used, if you noticed, it had the all-access neck joint already carved in it, and I actually don't have one like this anymore because I haven't built one like this in a long time. I actually changed all my templates over to that. So I had to cut a little bit oversized, and I'll just clean this up by hand later. One hot tip I can give you for routing here is, you always want to go from a high spot, route down to a low spot, come up to a high spot, route down to a low spot, high to low. Okay, so then you're gonna, so I went from high to low here, high to low, so on and so forth, all the way around. And here's why. You've got your grain and your wood running this way. And as you're routing down to this low spot, if you're the bit is going like this, and as you're running it this way, the bit's going like this, and it'll grab the end grain of the wood and just rip it right out. That's not always the case if you've got a really sharp bit, but there's potential for danger there. So especially if you're doing like a top that's really thin, even a full thickness of wood, I've ripped entire chunks out before and sent them flying, and then had to glue them back in, or just had to scrap the body blank because it was too severe. So a couple lessons learned there for me. The thing that gets dangerous though is, with the bit working a certain direction, if you're moving the wood, this way towards it, it's fine, but when you start going this way, it's running the direction the bit is turning, and it'll have a tendency to grab the wood and force it even faster the way you're pushing it. So, which means if you're not holding on to it good, it could have a potential to grab it and shoot it across the room, or do another thing I call feathering, and I don't know if that's actually a proper term for it or not, but if you imagine this is the grain of the wood like this, my fingers, and what it'll do is it'll grab them and it'll go like that, flare them out, and really do a lot of damage there, and then you got to try to sand it out. Now, and the reason I mention that is because this happened on this particular guitar. It wasn't terribly severe, but what happened is it happened on this edge, and I'll show you the results of it. I did fix a lot of it. I just got a little bit more to do. As I was turning the body blank, like this, my hand was getting close here, and knowing that it could grab the body and shoot it this way, I let go momentarily to slide my hand back so it would be safe, so I could keep all my digits. Well, in doing that, even though I had my right hand and my body bracing it, I let enough pressure off the bit that it grabbed it and did that. The safe thing for me to have done would have been to pull the body back, readjust my hands, and then do it again. So another hot tip for you there, lesson learned for me as a way to avoid being safe. So here's the end result of what I was talking about. There's just a little bit of tear out left in there, and that's going to sand out real easy, so without any noticeable weirdness on the body. So just if you're planning on doing that, be aware of that. Let the power tool do the work and don't force it. Light passes, otherwise you'll end up burning it, or you're going to end up hurting yourself, or you're going to end up damaging your piece of wood. You know, there's a lot of money invested in this right here so far, and for me to start over, you know, one, the customer wouldn't get the top that he had originally picked. Two, I would be out a top and a body blank, and then basically have to go through that entire process that I showed you last time. That's best case scenario. Worst case scenario is I ruin it and the body is slung across the room with 3 of my fingers with them. So, got to be safe with that sort of stuff. Now, real quick, what happens here is if my template is not perfect, and my templates aren't on the edges, you'll get little minor divots, or larger ones if you just didn't bother to make a nice template, that any little inconsistency in the side of the template here is going to transfer all the way down. And the way you clean that up is pretty simple. For me anyway, it didn't used to be. The oscillating spindle sander. You got a sander that spins like this, and it also goes up and down. Okay? That's awesome for removing scratches and stuff like that. You just got to be careful not to leave it in one spot, otherwise you'll sand a divot into it. The attachment, if you can see this orange part back here, is this dude here. It's an oscillating belt sander that goes on there. This thing is absolutely incredible because, you know, for areas like this over there, or if, say, if you've got a couple divots here, it's really hard to sand out these divots on a curve without putting more divots in it. So having a flat piece is going to smooth all those out really easy. So fortunately we got one of those here in the shop, and it's probably been one of the best tools we've ever gotten in here. So that's that so far. Next step is going to be probably building the neck before I can start routing out any templates and stuff like that. I want to make sure my pocket template's going to match my neck, and it will. Once I get the neck pocket laid out, then that will determine where my bridge goes, because I got to keep the scale length proper, and then that will determine where my pickups go. So neck gets built, then the pocket gets routed, that'll get routed, pickups get routed, controls get routed. In the meantime, probably do some bevels, other things like that. So got a bit of work to do. Probably show you some of the neck process next week. I've got the neck blank here that I sanded up, but I got some fretboard wood coming in, so I got to make a fretboard. And maybe I'll show you a little bit how to do that. All right, thanks a lot. Visit me at benfordguitars.com if you're interested in having a custom guitar built. Post any questions you like on the YouTube page, and actually visit the site as well, because I'm going to be posting the blog on there, and I'm going to have some additional photos and some text that might help explain a couple things clear. All right, take care, and we'll see you guys next time.